Hello, everyone. This is another fantastic episode of Dimensions of the Supernatural. I am Maureen Grudzinski, otherwise known as Lil Witchy. There's the cat tail, and
Yeah, that's right.
that's not a ghost. So I am joined tonight with my good friend and another podcaster. So he's
Hello.
my co-host for tonight. This is Craig Ansell.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to make those acquaintances on the other side of this camera.
Thank you for being here with us this evening. This is
absolutely.
A really interesting topic we have tonight. This is one of my faves, and I think you like this one too.
Yes.
Mandela effects. So excited. So excited for this one. So Craig, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I would like, if I was a little more prepared, I'd go into the Dr. Evil thing.
Wow.
The things of my life are very inconsequential. Yeah, no, really, I'm nothing super exciting. I mean, it's like you put in the bio. I love to. It's a hobby. I like to cook. Some people that are following me, they've seen some of the posts, and they've seen some of the food I put up there. It's a hobby of mine.
Delicious.
I'm about taking normal ingredients. It's nothing like these fancy things that you got to spend $300 on to make a little meal. It's basically, I'm taking the stuff that most people have in their house that I just make, and I just like the way to present it. But yeah, I started Three Beards podcast. We're no longer doing Three Beards podcast. Yeah, that ended in May. I partnered up with Joey Medea on Into the Outer Realms, and we did a Sinister Mysteries. That's the new thing. So I do that every other Thursday.
Nice.
And so that's what we do, that one, and it's we're working on something for the 50th. So that episode. So that's other than that, I said I work, family man. I'm just crazy guy.
So you're crazy.
Yeah.
So Sinister Mysteries is about conspiracies, crazy stories.
Yes.
Mostly
it's kind of
like detective type stuff that's not been solved.
A lot of this, I think a lot of things too seem to, kind of, if you think of like MK Ultra, how things will branch off from there. A lot of stuff where it's the mystery of, we just did one on the Yuba 5. It was the 5 people that got lost in California, and it's just the mystery, that thing. And just, we also look to find in these mysteries something that has a sinister element to it, something that where there's more than just a hiker got lost in the woods. It's like this one, that Yuba 5 story we did, was one where there's a guy, he ended up dying. Well, where he died was a fully established cabin with food, supplies, heating, and he was found dead of, I think it was weather related if I remember off the top of my head, it's weather related conditions for this guy. So these are the kind of mysteries that we talk to. Like I said, MK Ultra. We've talked about the JFK, assassination. We've talked about this. It's not just strictly the conspiracies. So everybody that I recommend, like I said, it starts at 7 p.m. So, you can check it out for 28 minutes and then jump right over here, and then you can get right back to watching Maureen. There's a gratuitous plug.
Sorry, thank you. Be the stuck dog for a second there. It was a disaster.
Yeah, there's Ron. See Ron, I'm moonlighting on all the stuff here. Yeah, it's so we've talked to, when it, you have everything from like Roswell. You have, we'll talk about the UFOs. We'll talk about these like we've just been the next episode, we're going to be talking about the Bundy standoffs.
Ooh.
And then we'll talk about the Vegas shooting. Then we're going to talk about Project 2025. And so we'll talk about these different things in here. It's not just a paranormal or something. It's kind of just across the board if there's a mystery. So one of the things, like the Mandela effect, how we approach it is, we don't approach it from a pro, a con. We don't approach it from this. We approach it from, we lay out the facts, and then we kind of let you decide, do you believe it or do you not believe it? It's kind of like, that's kind of how I'm going to be tonight. It's not for me to tell you Mandela effect is real. It's not me for me to tell you that it's not fake. I'm going to give my opinions. Maureen's going to tell me I'm a crazy. I'm never having you on the show again. But I don't know. That's for me. There's a segue back to our topic.
It's real, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. I call myself a healthy dose between Mulder and Scully, and so from the
I think
X-Files.
that's kind of where I am too, and I think that's why we get along well, because we kind of agree that you have to kind of be a little bit of a skeptic to be able to believe, and you have to be able to kind of rule things out to get to where you can figure out what's happening.
Yeah, I think like to piggyback on what you just said, it's like for me, it's like if you don't have a framework, if you don't have like a set, just like I've always said, I wish people in the paranormal, cryptid communities, anything would come up with basically a guideline, just something to where everybody that comes in, it's like, if you have a site, here's what we need, the information we need. So that way it's like a thing, because what we've got is there's people that just believe to believe. And the problem is every little thing, I've say it in the shows all the time. For anybody that's never been in the woods, doesn't spend much time in the woods, when it's dark, a squirrel sounds like a T-Rex rummaging through the bushes. And so for people to say like, oh, I heard this loud crashing, there's a really good chance that was a squirrel or a rabbit that was through the brush. And it wasn't a 12-foot tall creature. But the problem is the people that are they're dead fast, they believe everything. Then they come here and they're the ones where they'll show the picture and there's 75 Bigfoot with all the circles in the trees. Look at all these faces. And the people that are, serious researchers and stuff know that that's not the case, because like for me, biggest thing with nature, procreation and food. Those are the two biggest driving factors of anything in nature, any creature. So for anybody that knows things, those are going to be the two main things. Is they got some way to survive and some way to procreate. Those are going to be their two driving forces. So it's like that. I think if people would go out that stuff, that's the thing to do. So that's my soapbox.
So what you're saying is like animals are like men.
I guess. Yeah, I'd say all we want to do is be fed and
procreate.
That's right.
So, all right.
Yeah. That escalated quickly.
Yeah, we're not going to go any further with that conversation. I should have actually put my name as Scully.
You still can. You can still edit it.
I know, but I'm also a Lil Witchy. So
I like that.
The Mandela effect. Hi guys, thanks for stopping, everyone. We have a great comment section. I think you visited before, but I think that you kind of like you get done with your podcast and then you're probably exhausted and you need to eat something, and
I'm usually, as I'm laying there, after I stop, it's like I'll jump over and I'll check out with you guys, and I'll usually chat and stuff. So like I said, it's interesting being on this side of the microphone, this side of the camera. So it's pretty cool.
So for those who don't know what a Mandela effect is, there are a couple of ways to, I mean, some people say that they're false memories of things that transpired. Some people think that they are things that transpired and then they were switched because of slips in time or dimensions. Some people think that they're political agendas or conspiracy theories, and we're going to go over that tonight. Some of our favorites. Now, there's a woman by the name of Fiona Broome, and she was supposedly the first one to notice this, but really she was the first one to bring it up with the death of Nelson Mandela. Remember when it happened? Do you remember when it happened?
But it was one of those, if I'm trying to remember the actual date, like she remembered it. I think it's like when I first heard about this, I wasn't I don't really have like a memory of his death for that, during the thing in prison. I don't have that memory that other people do. And that's one of the things that we'll really get into. It's like, why is it that I don't have a memory, but Maureen has it? She's like, oh no, dead fast. I remember this. And I'm like, yeah, that's what they say it is. That's what I remember. That's one of the cool things we'll get into. It's like, but that, I don't know. Did you remember him dying?
Here's the weird thing. Now, I didn't know what a Mandela effect was until, I don't know, a couple of years ago. But the reason why it hit me so hard was because I got thrown out of public school and I had to go to Catholic school, a Lil Witchy. And
that'd be fun.
So there's a story behind that. We can all talk about it another time.
Maureen's getting hit with holy water every day.
Yeah. So we watched the video about apartheid, and the whole Nelson Mandela thing came out, and we were talking about it. Now, I graduated from high school. Here we go.
There's
in 1990. Yeah. 1992. I'm sorry about the dogs. I can't control them. I will try to hit. They're not supposed to bark till about 8:15, by the way. So we watched the video about him and about how he was like this big instrumental person in dealing with that. And he died in prison in the 80s. So that I remember watching this video, and that was in 1989 that we watched this video in religion class. So then I remember hearing on the news that he died while he was president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After the fact.
Which in 2013, I think is what.
2013. So how do I have two different memories of two different things? It was a big thing in religion. We had a test on it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's where there's several of these cases where it's that same way, where it's like you have this thing and then we don't, and then it's just, but when you go back to search for it, you can't ever find it. And that's what's the weird part. And it's just, like I said, it's almost like everything has been erased. And that's where I think in order for something like that to have happened, I think that would be where like the dimensions, the timeline slips. That's where
supernatural.
Yeah, that's where that would be. If you had to look at it empirically, that would be the one where that would have to be probably the answer to explain why a mass erasing of something. Yes. Because otherwise, if it was just like some government agency that said that we just want to screw with people, it's like, how are they going from house to house and grabbing every single box of Cheez-Its to change the name on something so that way we can screw with people? Well, obviously that's not possible. Right. That you would have to have some sort of like Santa Claus event in order for them to get to every single household and remove every single product and change it over.
Right. And the way Fiona says that the Mandela effect works, she says a phenomenon that makes us question even minuscule memories from the past. And there are psychologists and psychiatrists who say that it is a slip in your memory. But how is it that all of these people don't remember things the same way, or they remember things differently, but millions of people remember things? Is it just that things are kind of similar in some things that we watch or some things that we've seen? Or is it that all of a sudden that the Mandela effect is happening and people are like, oh yeah, I do remember it that way, because they're planting these memories in our head?
Yeah. Yeah. There's some, we'll get into these things too. There's some of these Mandela effects. I think it easily it goes into that part where a lot of people are they're so used to saying it, and so many people have said it. Like everybody likes to quote the Star Wars one as a Mandela effect. I really don't think that's a Mandela effect. I think it's just all growing up, we were just like, Luke, I am your father, and we're like, that's not what they said. But as kids, that's what you grow up, and in your mind, you're like, no, that's what they said. Well, no, that's because that's what you've repeated yourself so many times that you
Right.
swear that that's what it is. And I think so. When I was doing the research, I think there's a few of those ones I compartmentalized to where I think those ones kind of like their own little separate category. I don't even really consider those Mandela effects, just because it's the pop, it's the pop culture things. I really don't fall into those. It's these ones where it is clearly, like I said, like the original, the Nelson Mandela thing. It's just
Yeah.
people remember the funeral. They remember all these details that apparently never occurred. They've never
Mhm.
happened. And so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Fruit Loops was FROOT instead of FRUIT, but I remember it FRUIT Loops.
Mm-hmm. And
Thanks,
here's another
Kevin.
one too. Do you know that they're all the same flavor?
Well, yeah, when you put them in your mouth, they all taste fruity, not
Mhm.
lime, lemon,
Yep.
strawberry.
Yeah,
They're
they're all
just
the same
fruity.
flavor. They don't have individual flavors.
Right.
Yeah,
So Ron said the hyphen and Kit Kat. Now, I remember there being a hyphen.
yeah.
Craig and I
Yeah.
battled back and forth. We talked about this extensively over the fact that maybe they just change things.
Yeah. That is,
But
and that's one of the, and it's like they show that that was never there. I even like the Fruit of the Loom one, I'm
I
just kind
just
of
left
dodging
from
all these things. We'll talk about these things in detail too, because we got 2 hours.
yeah, we have two.
They
There's tons of them though.
Yeah, that's so like Fruit of the Loom. That one is there's even some people that made the case that it was there, but Fruit of the Loom is using this as a marketing ploy.
They
They've
could
erased
have.
it off their official site and everything. But the problem is like not very many people are have the articles of clothing, and the couple of examples like you can find online, those are easy to fake. Because you can easily, especially in the days when everybody can screen print their own shirts, it's
Yep.
real easy to make that black T-shirt with the Fruit of the Loom logo and show it up. See, I found one.
Yeah.
And little side note, maybe later if you want to bring it up again, that's one thing I want to talk to you about, like you and your audience. I brought it up on ours about the dangers of AI.
Oh, I
In
hate AI.
Because right now it's an amazing tool, but it is also, so many people are being fooled by it. I mean, one of the greatest ones was that went through is that night vision one of that dog-like creature that was, hunched. Everybody's like, oh my God, this is right. That was an AI creation. But there
So
were
was the
people.
alien in Miami? Was it with the
Mhm,
mall?
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there was people that staked their reputation on doing stuff about these creatures. And the problem is when it comes out that yes, these were AI creations, people are like, it's like they either double down or then it's just like they don't know at that point what do you do, because as a researcher or something like that, if you stake your reputation on putting everything in these things, you're you know you're locked into this now. You can't just walk away saying, oh, I guess, oops, sorry. I'm like, no, you just told everybody that you believed in this thing. You found this information out through your sources, and now you know your sources apparently were what, all bogus. So, and that's the dangers of AI, is because nothing can. Well, that's, see, like, people like replacing myself. That's the thing. Deep fakes. Those are getting they can take the stuff from us talking tonight, and they
Yep.
can come in and they can do an entire new show with Maureen and Craig and create whatever they want to say, and we will look like we are sitting here saying it in the same exact clothes we're wearing, and our faces will look like we are talking.
Well,
It's
that has gotten a lot of people in trouble
mhm.
because you can take a text, flip it around, take the name off, replace the person's name, and
Yep.
you can, say this person said this about you, or this person did this, or whatever. And send this out to hundreds of people and say, look at what this person said and did. You know, this has happened.
And most people would not take the time to go, Maureen, did you say this? And you'd be like,
or they don't
they
have
would just be
balls.
like, wow, look what Craig and Maureen said. Oh my God, you know, boom. I'm
This
never
has
listening to them
happened.
again. And it tanks you. And you're like, what happened? Why did our show tank? And it's just, it's because somebody made something fake.
This has happened to me, Craig.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wish people would take the, hit the wrong button. Sorry. Whoa, blinded myself.
Show's over. All right, so where do we start? I have lots to say here.
Well,
and we've even
kick it off
before the show. If something was ever not something like a logo or whatever, but has something ever happened where it was a Mandela effect that actually happened to us personally? Craig said, no, I actually have something that happened. So we could discuss that too. All right, where are we going?
So
anybody
let's go
in the audience too. If you want to yell something out here, let us know if you've had a Mandela effect happen to you. I think the big one. Okay, so the one that everybody argues over is Shazam.
Yes. Yep. Did this one ever exist? I personally remember this.
I do too.
But like I said, but if you look at it, it's like, and this is kind of what I just going back to a thing. There are so many fan creations of this stuff that it's like now you can actually find ones of Sinbad in the thing, and it's like that's the problem is now people are creating the things to so it's confirmation bias. So now when you're looking it up, but that's the images of the thing. That's what I remember. I remember it. I don't remember. I remember both. I remember the one with Shaq, and I remember the one with Sinbad.
Sinbad, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember both of them. He's a blue genie or djinn. Anybody else? Anybody remember Shazam? We're gonna do it this way. We're gonna have people vote on each of these too, and we'll see what they say.
Yeah, that'll
whether
work.
You're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on YouTube, whatever you're watching on, I want to see votes. Say if you say yes Shazam or no Shazam. All right, so Ginge is asking about Berenstain or Berenstein Bears. I'm saying Steen.
Steen. I don't ever remember the stain.
I don't remember it either. And I had the books and I read the books. Jess is saying, I remember him being a blue genie, but I don't think I don't know what the object didn't show up as whatever the emoji is. Andy's saying no. We're going to have to go back later to look through because I guess I could pull up Facebook too.
I can see him. Yeah, it's
so many people are watching on so many different things that I don't even know where to go.
Yeah, and that's that was for me. That was just the one. It's just like I don't remember the. Like I said, I don't think I remember like how, if I just had to visually talk about like what he was dressed at. I just remember the Sinbad, kind of arms crossed, that type thing. It's just like your typical genie. Yeah, I remember that, but I don't, like I said, but I couldn't tell you like what the movie was about.
She said I think I remember a blue genie, but I don't think I watched the movie.
Yeah.
Ron says he remembers.
Yeah, go down the list. I mean, I know there's another one that's like like the peanut butter one. I don't remember Jiffy.
No, I remember
it's always been Jif.
And Skippy. I think they're getting those two.
Yep, and that's kind of one of the ones where when I was doing my research, they talked about misremembering. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times where you're overlapping two things because they're so close. I mean, it's peanut butter and peanut butter. It's not like,
Yeah.
it's really, and so it's real easy for just somebody to say, make a mistake and just say Jiffy. And people, as it goes along, people are like, no, I remember Jiffy. Well, that was just because mom or dad kept calling it Jiffy when they actually were just confusing mixing up the two. And then, yeah, you sent me one about, I don't ever remember the microphone with Brittany.
I remember the microphone.
Because
she had a black microphone that came, it was just like a wire with a butt at the end.
yeah, because she always had it during her performances. Yeah.
She wore it in the video with the red plastic suit that she wore. But her face in the thing that I sent you, that did not look like her at all.
Yeah, I think that's one of those that it's kind of like her disturbing things where she's dancing. It looks like it's on the secure. I think some of those ones, her face has been mapped onto somebody else doing the dancing.
Oh, maybe.
Because there was one of those things where when she was supposedly having her breakdown, when she was really going through that problems, that this was one of those, like it was almost like a deep fake to show that she's still okay.
Oh, she was okay.
Like her fans were like, "Oh, see, Brittany's still here. She's doing her weird dance. It's just her." No, I think there was something she was. She was having a breakdowns. I mean, it's pretty well known, that whole group of kids during that time through the whole Disney.
None of them were okay.
Yeah, most of them
definitely not okay now.
They went through some stuff that kids should never have to go through.
Ron's saying Jiffy, and then it changed to Jif.
Yeah, see, I just don't have any memory of that one.
I don't either. I think it was JIF, and then there was also Skippy, and that's why people are kind of like merging it together.
Yep.
What about, and this is a very curious one. I love being punny. Curious George without a tail. I never remember no tail, because I even remember him wearing striped yellow pajamas and the tail came out of the back.
And my thing, to be honest, I hardly, this is never like really a big thing when I was growing up. I don't ever really remember reading too much of the Curious George things. So I might actually have to put myself in the A column on this one, because I don't really remember either A or B versions, because it was just one of those. It's kind of Paddington Bear. These are things I never really looked at or dealt with. So I'm like, it's Jeff was a kitchen cleaner here. Yeah, that's the other thing when you go across the pond. Different things are.
Yeah, you don't want to eat that. Jessica is saying Kazam was Shaq. That is true.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but one of the things I learned when I was growing up was what they used to call over in the UK what they called cigarettes.
Yeah.
And yeah,
they still call them that though.
I know. And so over here, you don't want to say I'm going to smoke a. I said you don't want to say that over here, because that gets you in a whole other thing. But yeah, it's like across the pond type things. It's just things that we talk about here.
Todd and Carmela said maybe Jif was just referred to as Jiffy, but not really named Jiffy. Well, there was Jiffy Pop also.
Mm-hmm.
The popcorn. Yes,
yeah, Andy. Yeah. Yes. Very, very good. You're dropping the letter to making sure.
We do not allow those words on this show. Mm-hmm. So anybody go with the Curious George? Maybe some advertising items had a tail. I'm saying tail.
Yeah, I said
no tail ever.
And and that's the thing. They say it's like, no, he's never had a tail. It's like it's always been no tail.
Jiffy condoms. Well, someone's not satisfied. No children should be watching this show right now. It's after 8:00. Andy, I'm not repeating that. This show's going to get real bad real soon. All right, Febreze.
Welcome.
F-E.
Febreze. I remember. I don't remember the two E's.
I do. Now okay, so this is the question that I wanted to know. And I'm sitting there in my room and I'm taking notes for tonight. Some things I remember some ways and some things I don't. So do some people remember things because of when they were born? Or is it just that some things were memories that were fake and some things weren't? Or is it that they did slip a dimension and is it true for some people and not for others?
Well, that's one of the things that they've, through this and kind of through the other stuff, like when I've done this thing, is that it's not like an all or nothing type thing. It's one of those where if there's a slip, the Maureen from that timeline could slip into the one here and I would remain. And so I would be like, no, I don't ever remember this. Oh, I do. Whereas the Craig on the other side is like, oh, hell no, it has always been Jiffy. It's been, like completely the opposite because we've traded places. And it's like, but nothing else has changed. It just is like merging two names.
Or is it, I'm going to go down the street and I'm going to take everybody's shit and put it in a box and hide it. And then the people on that street, they're going to keep their shit.
Yep.
Craig's not getting Fruit of the Loom for Christmas this year.
Nope. It's like, it's come back. It's just like, I don't remember any of this. It's like, it's gone. Fruit of the Loom. What the hell is that?
Kit Kat bars, these are going to be the fake ones because they don't get the tag.
Exactly. Yeah,
they're from the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, it's kind of your thing with Febreze. I think too, part of that for me, that's the one where I think it's because, a lot of people would remember that because that's how you spell breeze.
True.
And so in your mind, you know how it's spelled. And so I think that's one of those things. Ron just kind of said, remember, we're programmed to remember things. And I think it's one of those things. It's like some of that stuff's ingrained into you, like remembering that you do have Fruit of the Loom here. So when Maureen comes and steals it from your side of the street, you remembered you had these things before. And then somebody who's a little witchy stole them from you.
I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out my dowsing rods and cross them to the other side.
Find those hidden boxes.
But the cornucopia is important because it has to hold all that fruit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I will. I'll go to my deathbed swearing that there was a cornucopia.
I'm telling you, there was cornucopia.
Yeah, it's even though they show like every single logo they've ever had and it's never been there. I'm like, no, I clearly remember that one. I'm like, this one, like the Sex and the City one. Do you remember that one?
So, yeah, I thought it was Sex in the City, but apparently sex is very important because it's sex and the city.
Yeah, which I guess, in a way, I mean, I can see it both ways too. It's like, because I mean, let's face it, that's what the show was mostly about, was hookups and and the life in the city. So, sex in the city. Okay, it works. Sex and the city, to me, in a way, kind of works both way because there's, it's both. It's focusing both on on both things. But that's, I don't know. It's
not the women, not the guys they were with. It was just the sex, and the city. Yeah,
it's like the hookups and life in the city. It's just kind of like two things of, like I said, procreation and and survival.
And the food. In the restaurant.
Yeah, eating and wine. I mean, let's be honest. What was the show about? Hookups and wine. Glasses of wine and
and getting it.
Yep.
This show has to change. It's not even paranormal anymore.
Hey, it's Craig effects and full thing. I have ADD, so like I said,
I do too.
I'm like a cracked out squirrel. I jump all over the place.
My husband calls our dog demented whack-a-mole.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like me. It's like we get on a tangent. I'm gone.
Yeah, we'll be in another dimension. All right. My baloney has a first name. It's Oscar. My baloney has a second name. It's Mayer. That's how I learned it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things. I think I don't know if it's just one of those things where it's like people always were like pronouncing it wrong, just the way they pronounced it. Because Oscar Mayer, I think, is a little easier than Oscar Mayer, because that's where people would look at it and they're like, Oscar Mayer sounds weird, so it's like the way it's pronounced. I think like Oscar Mayer, a lot of people it looks better with the E.
Well, Mayer, Mayor, is pronounced Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
So why not Mayer?
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of the English language. It's
really messed up.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who was it Gallagher that had the great routine. I'm trying to, that had where it was like, I'm trying to remember. It was one of the comedians. They had the little flip cards, and they're always talking. They had the different variations of words, and why it's like, where if you flipped it this way, it's like it should send this. No, it's pronounced this way, and people are like, it's like, yeah, that's the English language for you.
That's why
I'll see if I can locate it and type it in the chat.
Well, that's why people are terrible with the English. I think people who come from outside of the country are better at the English language than the people who were born here. There, two.
Yeah. I absolutely suck. I suck with when to put the T, OO. When to put that two, when that two is supposed to be involved. When I'm writing, I'm typing, and I'm like going, am I supposed to have an extra O here or not? And I'm just like, dilemma time. I don't.
I'll help you with that.
Don't do it.
No, I'll help you with that. My first major was elementary ed with a minor in English and literature.
Oh, awesome.
I thought it was fab, not feb in Febreze, because it was intended for fabric use. That actually would have been a great idea. Febreze.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes sense. Fabric. Too. Like fabric. It would make sense. I don't know. Yeah, we already talked about it. It's like I've always remembered it with the the Fruit Loops with the double O. It's because it was one of those. It's like Cap'n Crunch. I've always remembered it with the N. I've never remembered it as Captain Crunch.
See, I remembered it with CAPTN.
Yeah, I don't remember the T. I've always just like Cap'n Crunch.
But it was never Captain. It was Captain.
Yeah, it was always Cap'n. It was like CAPN. And it was just fun, but it was always a captain's the picture. But it was never, I don't ever remember there being.
Andy sent me a picture of Febreze AF Spring Awakening 6-pack. We all need that. Okay. Skechers. I remember it with the T.
Yeah,
it looks weird with just a CH in it.
It to me it does. I mean that's always been the logo apparently, but it's one of those. I think I have to catch myself too. It's one of those because in my mind it's like when you read something, like you did the English, thing. When you read, your mind automatically auto-corrects a lot of things. And that's why like you always have those memes. It's like, what if I told you just read that wrong? And you go back and you look and you're like, oh yeah, I did, because your mind automatically puts stuff in there that should be there. And so so I think there's a lot of times like there's some of this, like it's a mental autocorrect. And so you remember that. And then that's where some of these ones, like I said, as I was going through there, I think part of this is it's that one. It's like in our minds, we automatic, it makes it sketchers, not, sketch, it's,
It's
it
sketchy
seems,
is what it is.
yeah, Chinese knockoffs. Andy, that's actually, during the research, I came across that there is actually people that think that some of these people are remembering these because this was knockoff merchandise that was coming out there, and that's what people were buying.
Yeah, we talked about that before the show. Now, here are some things that I don't have written down, but I did read about. Well, actually, there's two things. So the first thing is, before the Twin Towers went down, people used to look across the Hudson, and the way the Twin Towers were, according to other buildings, they seemed to move. So that was one of the things. The other thing is that people went on class trips, and they claim that they used to be able to go all the way up into the Statue of Liberty. And it's been said that no one has ever been able to go up into the top of the Statue of Liberty.
That's because I could have sworn. See, that would be me because I'd swear that that you're able to go to the top of the Statue of Liberty.
You're not.
Yeah, it's now was that has that always been that way, or is it something that it was
No,
after 9/11?
No, it was before 9/11, because when they first built her, they said that something happened. I don't know if it was a fire. There was like something odd that happened. I think it was a fire. There was a fire or something that stopped people from being allowed to go up that high. So they just closed it down completely. And it was like early 1900s. And since that time, no one was allowed to go up that high. But people were saying that they went on class trips in the 80s and they were allowed up there, and they even have pictures.
Yeah, because I'm still looking right here, and it says that you can go up to the crown.
Even now after 9/11?
Mm-hmm.
Or was this the torch? Was this all?
I think it might be the torch.
Maybe it's the torch that they were talking about. But they're saying
that there's that there's reinforcement that's.
I think it was due to a fire.
Yeah, it's because I think, because like I said, I think you can go to the crown. That's one of those. Yeah, Andy was like, yeah, you can. That's one of the genius for anybody that's watched Fringe. Have you ever?
Yeah.
I love that show, and I think that's probably one. It's predictive programming. I think that's one of those things where for me, it's where you show a lot of people where when people question, say how they talk pretty much about like this, like slips between dimensions, like how it's the exact same, but things are changing, like the Statue of Liberty.
Fringe of the dimensions.
Yeah, because the Statue of Liberty in the alternate one is the bright copper. It's never oxidized. And so, the Zeppelins are still a major source of transportation. And so that's one of the Empire State Building was supposed to be a hub. They were supposed to land right there, and you're supposed to be able to board and get on and off of Zeppelins from the Empire State Building. And that's one of those things. So that's I don't know. I know that's one they talk about, like the climb for the Statue of Liberty is definitely it's not for the faint of heart, because if you have problems with heights and crowds, that is not the one for you, because it is tight.
The arm was not able to hold the weight. I don't think that they allowed a lot of people up at the same time, because it was like a spiral staircase or something. So they allowed just a few people at a time, and they allowed people to come back down. Hey, buddy. We talked about the no hyphen and the Kit Kat several times.
Yes.
I
don't remember the hyphen.
I remember the hyphen.
Yeah, I don't
How
remember
old are you? Are you
40. I'm going to be 49.
okay? So I'm 50. So I'm telling you, it's one street got something, and the other street did.
The other street guy. Here's what I was one of the poor kids that got the non-hyphen Kit Kat, the knockoff ones that got sent to my side of the street.
The Dollar Tree street.
That's right. Yeah, it's no, there's lots of them. Like I don't like Cheez-Its. You know, everybody says that. I don't ever remember the Z.
You don't?
Mm-mm. You know, not what after on the it. I do remember it being Cheez-It.
We're paying for more on my street apparently.
Yeah, that's what I said. And the other one, I don't even really know how to, like the double stuff Oreos, where they say like there was one F and two Fs.
Two Fs.
I mean, one, I feel like who's looking at this close to where, you're checking for an F on an Oreo package. I mean, I don't remember the last time I even looked at the top of the package before I was ripping it in like a fat kid and just diving into the Oreos. So let alone, they changed the pattern on the Oreo.
I don't know if
my mouth couldn't tell the difference.
I know if there's like, if the inside of it is a different flavor, I eat the inside and I get rid of the rest of it because I was never an Oreo fan, but I love the center. That was the bomb.
So do you prefer the golden Oreos then over the regular?
No, I just don't like the cookie part of it.
I always used to take, because like a total fat kid moment. I used to take the two double stuffed cookies, take them in half, stick them together. So I just basically had these two cookies with what seemed like an inch of fluff in the center, and just eating those things. Yeah, I was. Oh, there's a reason why I ballooned to 309.
Okay, Bobby's going to show us what Andy sent to me. Oh, there it is. Febreze AF Spring Awakening 6-pack.
Huh.
Thanks, Andy. I love when he sends me stuff like that.
Jessica's like the original Oreo. The other one that's really good is the mint ones.
Yeah, I like the mint ones. Now those I'll eat the cookie with. But the center of an Oreo is like, I don't know, something like you've never had ever before.
Yeah. It was one of those like missed opportunities, like for people that make products. Why don't they sell that in squeeze bottles?
They should.
To where you could just add that to whatever cookie you prefer. You could just do that. So, that's right. I was making quadruple stuff. I know. Well, that's the problem. Is you're going to have guys like me that are just going to be like, screw the cookie.
Where's your husband? He's home with the Oreo middle on the couch watching football.
Comes home. There's packages of the Oreo stuff just laid all over the place. What did you do? Mistakes happened. I'm ashamed of myself.
I had a terrible day. What are you going to do, babe? Just sit on the couch, the Oreo middle.
Yeah. Be a dear and go get me my insulin pin.
Jessica said Craig making double stuff before they came out with double stuff.
That's right. I know. It was.
Just scoop out the middle and just use that as, a bad day.
The weird one for me too is I honestly feel like that Henry VIII's painting where everybody remembers the turkey leg.
God.
I don't have it. Remember, it's like even through all the art, I don't ever remember this painting.
You don't remember the painting itself?
No, with the turkey leg. I remember the painting. I don't remember him ever because I remember him holding, like he had the sword and he had, I'm trying to remember what else it was. I mean, I think one picture I said, it looks like, I don't even know what it looks like. He's holding. It's. We're gonna just leave it at that. We can derail real quickly.
So somebody said to me, "Do you remember that picture of Henry VIII where he's wearing that like puffy what looks like a pillowcase on his head?" Mm-hmm. And I said, "Yeah." And they said, so what else was in the picture? And I said, a turkey leg. They didn't even say this is what he had. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I said he had a turkey leg. That's weird.
Yeah. I said, like the paint, it's like, he never did. He just had that weird, like UFO, like hat type thing on him with all the glyphs around it, just.
You say a UFO and I say a pillowcase.
It's like, if you look at it, it just looks like it has all these these symbols around the bottom of it, it's like, you can basically almost think, see, proof of UFOs right there. They hid it in the painting, over the.
Andy.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, that's, no, well, as you're laughing about it, you should see what the original picture looks like. I'm not sure what he's supposed to be holding in there, but
I don't remember. I sent that to you, and I was like, this. I looked at my husband and I go, it's a turkey leg. He had a turkey leg in his hand. He goes, whatever you say.
Yeah, like I said, you could, that second one I put up there, you could put that up on screen if you want to. That's the side by side.
Wait, what?
There it is.
Oh shoot! That was going to make me leave the office.
Yeah, don't leave. Yeah, I'll stop sharing. Don't worry about taking it off. Yeah, that's the one. Like the one here on the right hand side of the screen. That's what is considered the real.
I don't know. It's so hard to see.
Yeah, I think they changed it to make it, like I said, with a turkey leg. But I think he's supposedly like in his hand down here is where he would have had the turkey leg.
Let's not go there. Goodbye.
Yeah. That's as I said. When you see the picture and blow up, like I said, I'd like to describe it. Let's say banana.
Back then, was there a kielbasa?
Yeah. Henry VIII, is that a banana in your hand, or are you just happy to see us?
If people don't love this show, they have problems. Andy, gobble, gobble. Wait, so I have to interrupt this program for a station break to tell this story. So I was making Thanksgiving dinner. And I pulled all the stuff out of the turkey. And my daughter looks at me and she goes, I'm like, that's the neck. It's like, so every year we're like, where's the neck? We just want to see, we want to measure the neck. We just crack up laughing every year. Over that store.
Kind of like that. There's a viral video out there where they were cooking the turkey and they're pulling out the kids were right there and they're like, oh my God, it was pregnant. And the kids were like, whoa. Yeah.
The first time my mother ever made a turkey, she didn't really have to take the stuff out. So she made it with the stuff inside of it.
Oh.
My father's like, that was the worst Thanksgiving ever. And he's very serious all the time, but that's how he told it too. Worst Thanksgiving ever. Ever.
Hey,
I'm the jokester.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It doesn't get any better than that turkey.
When we're eating dinner, I'm like, not like joking around. It's time to eat. I'm hungry. I'm like, say grace, play ball. I love this one. Ed McMahon.
Oh yes. This is a big one. I think.
Huge.
Yeah, he was never a spokesman for Publishers Clearinghouse.
That's bullshit. I'm calling total bullshit on this one.
Well, it's because he even did. We interviewed on the show. We interviewed his son.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
What did he say?
Yeah, it was the same thing. It's just he was part of the prior company that was purchased by Publishers Clearinghouse.
It wasn't called Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah, it's like you said, it was the previous company that he did those things, but it was just like that stuck, and that's one of those things. I don't know if it's just, yeah, it's like he was never part of that.
I'm telling you, I don't know, because we used to watch like the stupid stuff on TV during the day in the summer when you had nothing to do in the morning, and he'd come with the balloons and the big check.
Mm-hmm.
It was Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was, I'm like, what was the name of that company? I forgot to write it down.
It was Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I don't care what anybody says, because I don't follow Publishers Clearinghouse. It was not something that like we got in the mail. I didn't fill the stuff because I was a kid. How the hell would I know that?
Yeah, American Family Publishers is what it was.
That's bullshit. The guy pulled up in a red convertible sports car with the big check and the balloons, and he would surprise the person at the door, and that is not the name of the thing, because I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, it was one of this is one of the ones that I think it's like, if you put them in categories, for me, it's like, this is like that one with the cornucopia. This is the one where people are steadfast. No, I remember the Publishers Clearinghouse things. Yes, Todd, Carmela right there, the chat, the same thing. They're like, no, I remember. I'm like, yeah, that's the thing. It's, they're right. Because it's like me. I mean, I had remembered. It's like, I was always like, oh yeah, Publishers Clearinghouse. No, he never worked for them.
I have never heard the name of that company before. Never.
Yeah, it was like that's who it was, and then he ended up, they were taken in by Publishers Clearinghouse.
He came in his summer suit. It was tan. He had a light blue tie on with the white shirt. He had his big fake smile with his dentures in.
I know. Most of it, like I said, Johnny Carson days. I mean,
lies, all lies. This is why I said this is going to be the defining moment of truth, when you find out that your entire life was made up of lies. Lies.
Yeah.
Everything's lies.
It's like, because when you look at it, they have, like, so if you look them up, you'll see like the commercials, and they'll all say American Family Publishers. And it's one of those things. Did we, was this one of the ones where
I think it's opposite. I think it was Publishers Clearinghouse, and then it was taken over by the other thing.
Yeah, it's because there's one they have right here, 1988, wearing the tan suit. Make him one of his pitches.
Light blue tie.
Mm-hmm.
And they would send you those stupid things in the mail. It was like a postcard, and you had to stick, but you didn't have to purchase anything.
Yep.
Oh wait, what are you putting up now?
That's the video of it. There he is.
Oh, wait. That is bullshit. It says American Family Publishers ad in 1988. That is not what it was. It was, yep, stickers and stamps. They called it AFP in 1977. That is crap. Let's get rid of that too. Yeah, you'd sit there forever.
Yeah, so that's one of those. Yeah, it's like, because everybody remembers those envelopes. It's like his picture was on them. I mean, that's the thing, and it's just, was it one of those things that Publishers Clearinghouse was so adept in just bringing it in that we suddenly, it's like the rest of our memories, we just kind of forgot about American Family Publishers, and we just went boom. And like I said, Carmela calls BS on that too. It's like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like this is one of those ones for where people are, I mean, adamant, no, absolutely not. And it's like, I will go to my deathbed, boom, Publishers Clearinghouse all the way. And it's just like, yeah. And you look at the stuff and it's just like what we talked about. If this was one of those things where they altered things intentionally, just the sheer amount of work it would be to create like these old commercials with Ed McMahon to do these things. It's like, so that's where I think it would be more like, it would be more plausible for the timeline, shift, like those, those overlaps and stuff, than a sinister, replacement of stuff, to screw with us, because it's just the sheer amount of work that would be involved. I mean, if there's one thing that the government is, absolutely lazy about, it comes to, detail oriented stuff. It's they're, that's one of those things. I don't know. But yeah, that's.
Wouldn't it be crazy if we all just got something right now from Publishers Clearinghouse?
Yeah. Well, it's for how many years it's around. Does anybody know anybody that actually won the thing? We always saw the picture of somebody winning, but it's like, out of all of us watching here, they're just like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon type thing. Somebody should have a family member who is a friend of a friend whose friend down the street just won Publishers Clearinghouse.
We need to reach out to somebody. We do. And you would always hear, I'm Ed McMahon, and I'm here with Dolores McNamara from Silver Springs, Maryland, and she just won $7 million and this red sports car and these balloons. Congratulations, Dolores. And she'd be like,
yeah. Does anybody in the chat, does anybody know, like, remember a family friend or anybody that knew somebody down the street that won? I mean, somebody's got to have remembered this, because supposedly this happens every year.
No.
Somebody's winning this stuff. I mean, is it even still around?
Yeah.
I mean,
it is, isn't it? No?
It's probably like something where you have to go online now.
Somebody probably questioned it and said that it was a bullshit maneuver, that it was Publishers Clearinghouse and Ed McMahon was part of it. And then they said, no, he died. And that was actually American, whatever the hell it was. And he never showed up.
Yeah, you have to go online now. PCH.com to enter into the free sweepstakes.
They started in 1967. Thank you, Jessica, for that information. Jessica's going to be our researcher from now on. It's a crock of shit is what it is. Someone in California, just like all winners of power, all mega fixes it.
Hey.
Thank you, Coco.
I'm happy for him. Like I said, that being said, why is it always the 85 or 90-year-old person that wins the $300 million lottery?
It's a fix. The fix is in, says the
why? It's always a 90-year-old. He's like, you just won $300 million. What are you going to do with it?
And then he claps twice, all excited, and then he has a heart attack.
Yeah, it's just like.
And they're like, who are you going to share the news with? Who are you going to call? And he's like, I don't have any family.
Yeah, everybody's dead. Yeah.
I have a 76 cousin over in Scotland.
Yeah. I've got this great nephew named, Andy over in UK.
Poor Andy. He's being used for all our props tonight. Andy, you love it and you know it. So, all right, we did Luke, I am your father. It's no, I am your father. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that one, right?
Yeah, that one, like I said, I think it's just, you always say it, like movie lines. People always get movie lines wrong.
But you know what? I also heard that it was no, I am your father.
Yeah, it's one of those, it always comes down to just, it's like, like you said, a lot of times people just get the movie lines wrong. I mean, it's the one, life is like a box of chocolates.
It's like life was a box of chocolates.
Yeah, and that's what I said. But most people will say life is like a box of chocolates. No, that's not the line. But everybody quotes it that way because that's just what they've always said, they've always heard, and that's what it is. And I think that, especially the Star Wars one, I don't think there's any real. They changed it up on us. I think it was just one of those, for me, that definitely falls in the misremembering column.
Well, if he actually did what I did when I was a kid, he wouldn't have to say that quote anyway. Because if you take the chocolate, you flip it over, and you put your finger in the bottom of it, you know what it was, and you put it back.
Yeah.
Remember that,
one of my favorite
everybody?
comedians, is Jim Gaffigan. He's always like, he takes a thing. This one's toothpaste. Puts it back. It's like,
it's not Hot Pocket flavored.
oh yes, I just had one of those today. Yeah, and I let that sucker cool, so I didn't melt the top of my mouth.
We should actually do a stand-up podcast. What about we're going to need a bigger boat from Jaws? It's actually so he blames it on him, not everybody. Just go out by yourself, pal.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
You're going to need a bigger boat. We always talk
most people like that, the line, we're going to need a bigger boat. And it's like, nope.
You're going to go out by yourself. You're going to need a bigger boat. So this is something that I always really got irritated with. And now that I think about this, because I thought this was like a cultural thing from my area, along with another thing. So I'm going to bring both up. Chartreuse, people thought was magenta, but it's actually a yellowish green color. And people also in this area called green peppers mangoes.
I don't that one I don't know.
So
the mangoes. I bet the chartreuse one. Yeah, I even now, if you ask me what chartreuse was, I would say it's a form of pink.
But you're a dude, so that doesn't count.
Right. Well, else? No. Yeah. I know. I agree. It's just one of those things. What color is that? It's white. No, that is bone white. That's meal. That's off white. Yeah. No, that's winter shade of a snowy day. And then you're like, would you stop? It's white. Just for the love of God, it's white.
It's dirty car driven through snow.
That's dirty cotton right before it's washed. That's just so last year. I'm not using that white anymore. No, we are using fresh cotton or fresh linen. That is the only white that goes here. And you're like, oh my God, just pick a color.
Litter box.
Just pick a color. What do you think of this one? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's just go with that one.
This is not chartreuse, people. This is mava guava. But no, chartreuse is not. It's not chartreuse. Chartreuse is like kind of like a neon yellow green. But I don't think that's a Mandela effect.
Yeah, I think this one could like just be
ignorance.
Yeah, well, I think that's what it's just. It's. I mean, it seems harsh to say, but it really is. It's most Ron's underpants.
Yellow green. See, girl, you're right.
Yeah.
She likes the dirty cotton. By the way, I call it litter box. On a bad day. I like this one because for little girls everywhere, you have been doing this all wrong, girl. Mirror, mirror on the wall. It's magic mirror on the wall. Yeah,
most of us, and that's one of those, because as you're growing up, you remember that one. It seems like one of those things, like even like it's like I want to say it's mirror, mirror on the wall, but it makes completely sense for them to have said magic mirror on the wall, because that's
just sheer laziness.
Yeah, it's
one more word.
Yeah. Yeah, because it would be just one of those mirror, mirror on the wall. It's like, yeah, I got it. You're calling on me. What do you want?
You nasty queen.
Yeah. No, go.
Risky business.
Oh, yes.
The sunglasses weren't there.
What? Yeah, I remember the sunglasses.
I do too.
But I think it was one because like where I saw it, he has them in the movie poster.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's one of those things where it just it's your like for me. I remember it from the poster or something like that, and it's just in my head. I'm adding it to that scene,
He slid
but it's
across
one of those.
the floor in his underwear, a pink shirt that was halfway buttoned, socks, and sunglasses. Like, every woman remembers that. And by the way, why are we losing viewers? People should be watching this because this is amazing. Sunglasses on when he slides and sings in shirt. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think because that's one of those things. I mean, it's just maybe I don't remember it just because I was just like, oh, it's a dude sliding across in his underwear. I don't want to watch
And
this.
you don't care about that part. If it was a female, every movie has now been flipped around and redone 16 times. If you put, I don't know, who? Sofia Vergara in a shirt that's half buttoned, in like cheeky underwear, socks, and sunglasses, every man would be like, she has sunglasses on.
Yeah, it'd be like, yeah, if you just change it around, it's just, yeah, I don't know this, but yeah, I swear, like when he was sliding across, like I said, it was the sunglasses, everything, doing the whole singing thing. Yeah, I don't remember like what, if you look it up and it shows like a thing without it. To me, it looks weird without the sunglasses.
Yeah, because he had them on. This one. Hello, Clarice.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not sure where that one came, how that came about.
He said good morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good morning. Unless it's that guy that goes, what does he say in the videos? Good girl.
Yeah. Well, Buffalo, I think for my thing is, Buffalo Bill was such an iconic part to that movie too. He almost overshadowed the other two, because I mean, just it puts the lotion on the skin or it gets the hose again. And that, like, here's the ADD part. There's people that have done this for the office things. They put in their cubicle, they put in the ceiling tiles. They have his picture pasted on the ceiling tile with a basket hanging down.
They should put that in every.
Oh, it's awesome. It's one. I mean, that his character was so iconic from that thing is just
so creepy,
because it's even Clerks.
Love
Silent Bob. Silent Bob did it. Where he's just he's putting the chest. It's like ooh. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I mean, everybody know that's just, yeah, I mean, that was the part. I mean, so sorry, I digress. We get back to the good morning, Clarice. It's just, yeah, that's
2 viewers. That might have been what did it.
Oh, you can have me talking for hours on movies. This is tuck and wiggle.
Andy, you're grounded.
I just like putting on the wardrobe.
He was dead. You can't get a better actor for something like that than that dude. That was.
Yeah, he really. That was one, and it's. But
Andy left us, I think. I just lost somebody.
Well, in his defense, it is almost 2 a.m.
Yeah, but he usually sticks around when he's on.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, it's. I know, but I think most people, it's like if you ask somebody right now, give me a quote from Silence of the Lambs, and that's what people would say.
Or the fava beans and Chianti.
Yeah, those would be some of the lines that they would, or puts lotion on his, you'd have those quotes right there would be the ones where, that's what people would say. And so when you hear someone say, no, he said good morning, you're like, what?
No.
And does that fall into the thing where it's just, it sounds so, I mean, like that's what the line should have been. And so it sounds so right. And
then they should change it.
Yeah. Just AI right now, just go and change it. That's Andy. Yeah.
Doesn't he say I'm a sexy bitch?
I think that's from, that's from
he does.
Jay and Silent Bob when it's like, ooh, yeah. That's what he says. That's what he says when he's doing when he's putting on the chapstick. I'll censor it. Ooh, I'd do me. Yeah. I don't know how far I could go. I mean, it's I know Ron doesn't care so much, but like I said, I don't swear a whole lot on our shows anywhere, but it's like I always try to make sure I'm really proper.
We're pretty PG-13 tonight.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I know.
We did the genie. We are the champions of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the people get. I think it's I think a lot because that's the chorus. That's like they're just used to and then they just stop. They don't like continue on. It's the song that's
it needs that at the end though. It totally needs that.
Yeah, it's then Mr. Rogers theme song. It's like a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Most people, but it's it's in this neighborhood.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah, and that's one. I mean, just as production wise, it's like it would make sense for him to refer to it as beautiful day in this neighborhood because that's the imaginary kingdom, that stuff that it would encapsulate everything that's going on inside that that space. So it would make sense to put it's a day in this neighborhood. Mm-hmm. But it's like, but most people say, well,
and the postman and he added it at Live Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Was that after the Mandela effect thing, or?
It was pretty close that time because it was in the 80s. I'm trying to remember what. I think it was 80s, wasn't it?
So Live Aid was 87.
I want to say so.
Between 87 and 89, but people wouldn't have been questioning that then.
Mm-mm. No, I think it's like later. I think, but just most people like when they hear, that they hear during this, because
was it just for effect?
Yeah, I think so. I think so because I think yeah, it's just the way. I don't know. It's
for effect.
Yeah, that Live Aid concert was one of their best. Yeah, the best ever. For Queen.
So what about Mike Tyson?
I don't know if I know this one.
So Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear and spit it during one of the greatest fights of all time. Everyone watched this fight.
Mm-hmm.
It is now being said that he never bit his ear off.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, no, that one was watched by everywhere. It's just it's the close. All of a sudden, just the chomp, and he just chomps down on his ear. I mean, you see the missing chunk in Holyfield's ear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's some
cover his ass that they're saying it didn't happen. Is that just like a legal thing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
or was it Trump's ear? Oh my God, Andy. Well, now it was.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, then, yeah, I'm just trying to think. I don't know if I've come across people saying that didn't. I'm stumped by that one because I mean that wasn't just like we found this old footage. I mean that millions of people watched that live. I mean, I watched that fight.
Everyone saw it. I watched it.
Yeah,
I watched it happen. I think was I towards the end of high school when that happened? Because everybody talked about it. Everybody said he was like a mad dog.
Oh yeah, no, he was just because he was losing, and so he was just getting enraged, and then that close as he just out of frustration, he just chomp. I mean, yeah, I mean it was,
and then spit it out on the ring, like he did spit it out.
It's kind of perfect, apropos, talking about this one. I think is can be this one could honestly be put up for governments, putting out misinformation, is the tank man in China from the Tiananmen Square, where they showed him later that he was okay. No, he got run over by a tank.
He did. I remember that too.
There's people that say, but other sources are showing that he was unharmed. No. Yeah, Andy's on a roll.
I remember. I know he is. I'm just trying to ignore him right now. I remember watching that video over and over and over again. Hi, Marco. And people were like, "Oh my God, that dude just got smashed."
Yeah, and they because I think there's worry, like if that gets, if that ever gets back out type thing, it's like, here's the real nerd. It could be the Archduke Ferdinand moment for China. So
they try to delete it, and it just didn't.
Well, they really didn't. But it still persists. So it's kind of like North Korea. So if you put out another narrative like, no, he's right here, then it's you don't. Then it's easy to put that the other is the misinformation. That America is trying to show that where it's just like a thing. It's like, no, as you see, he's still alive because he realized that this was wrong to go against the party, and that he realized that this was not the right thing to do. That's why he persisted to get out of the way. And it goes through things like the same way North Korea does. They have the narrative of the supreme leader, everything's like that, and everything else is, what Kim Jong, hit 18 hole-in-ones in a row. He found the cave of unicorns. I mean, it's all of this stuff. And there's people that believe this stuff. And I think that's one of these. And yeah, Andy's the same way. No, we clearly, that was one of the things that was shocking about it. It's like, there's a reason why you can't find the video, even on YouTube, is because it's graphic and because it would anger the Chinese government. And we have to appease.
Yeah, we do a lot of that.
And so that's where some of these things, I think they go to where it is, we talked about prior to the show, but I think there is definitely something to the, an intentional edit. There are some of these things that were intentionally done for this reason.
That's where AI comes in now.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you could change it to where, he blew up the tank. I mean, so you could do all this. There's all this stuff. Down and took
the tank.
And one here, this is a controversy. I want to get everybody's take on this thing. I could see if I could find this photo. I've got this. I don't know if I have it on the computer. I know I have it on my phone, but there are some that the Challenger explosion, that all the astronauts didn't die, and they actually, there's aged. They show the photo of the astronauts and an age, them older in these different roles. But I remember clearly, I was sitting right there. I watched it. Boom, and you see the explosion. But they're saying that there was no astronauts on board that. And I've always, like, the people that say that there's no astronauts on board, and this is one of those things, like, is this truly a Mandela effect, or does this fall under like the conspiracy theory side, where I think this is really fuzzy on that. And that's where I think, like, this Challenger one, because I always ask this question, and it's kind of where we talked in the beginning of the show. I always ask the W questions: who, what, when, where, why. Mm-hmm. Because if you can answer those questions, you can eliminate things that it isn't before trying to figure out what it is. So I'd have to ask myself, what would there be to gain about faking the deaths of the astronauts? There was nothing. They weren't part. They weren't doing. Yeah, and that's so. You just go through this list of stuff, and it just, there wouldn't really, why would they do it? What is to be gained from this? What why go through all these steps to hide these astronauts and give them whole new lives? I mean, there doesn't seem to be any reason to do something like this.
That would be the only reason. If they knew too much, they
Yeah.
would stop them from talking. They would, but if they started all new lives, they could still talk.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and and that's where it just falls under because then usually when stuff starts to fall apart, people have to come up with even more grandiose, reasons behind it. Well, they went through a brainwashing thing. They were reprogrammed, so that way they didn't remember these things. Once again, you fall back to the thing is the whys. The why part. Why do this? I mean, okay, maybe they saw an alien. Maybe they saw something like that they weren't supposed to hear. It's like, but wouldn't it be easier to actually blow them up in the Challenger?
Mm-hmm.
And then we could have the conspiracy of like they were intentionally, blown up. Would make more sense than they weren't on there. And that's where I just, for me, it's like for people that Mandela, I don't know if I buy that as a Mandela effect. I buy that one as that goes into the conspiracy side. On which, whether you believe that they died, they didn't die, it just goes through those things. And that's for me, that's where, so I don't know if you ran across that one during your research.
Yeah, I did. Or are they saying that they blew up, but they kept them there to see what happened and didn't bring them back?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I could find that picture.
Because they could actually use like a mini version of it, blow it up, send them, leave them there, watch them, and see what happens to them over time. And once you leave them there, they're not coming back.
Yep.
Charles said the secret space program needed a shuttle.
But it's one of those, it's kind of like, if you remember the movie Arrival, it would just be just like anything when it comes to government, why build one when you can build two?
Yep.
So the thing is, it seems like it would be a lot easier to just secretly launch something than and actually I did find the photo. So once again, like I said, for anybody that says this is a reported thing, this isn't Maureen and Craig saying that this is what actually happened. But you can see these people they hear is this one that they aged them, or is it something, because they say like, Richard Scobie, CEO of, these things, Sharon McAuliffe, Syracuse Law, they're showing these things. People look like them. But is it something that it's somebody that just shares similar features? But they say that these people, but some of them, they go through these things, but once again, Contact. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Charles, thank you. Arrival was the other one where it was just there. They had the two. They were going in the weird, like octopus, squid-like creature that would put its things in the glass.
Ron wants to know if Gilligan's Island, were they really on that island? Well, I just have to say, why did they always need to use coconuts to try to get their way off the island? And that really wasn't the most brilliant professor I know.
Well, if you could make all this stuff out of these coconuts, you mean to tell me you can't ever make a transmitter?
Exactly.
Which
why
meant
couldn't they make a raft?
Well, I think it was just because he had the two really good-looking women on the island, and he was the only viable candidate. The skipper, Gilligan, they weren't threats.
Skipper was always ready to have a heart attack. Gilligan
Gilligan's not a procreation rival.
Yeah.
He was
probably eating all the time.
Yeah, you got the old couple. They're already taking care. So who's left? You got the professor and the two chicks. I mean, why? Of course you're going to keep sabotaging everything because you're like, oh, I'm sorry, ladies, we got to stay on this island.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's
unless the professor was looking at Gilligan.
Yeah. So I think that was the nefarious thing behind the Gilligan's Island is that
Probably.
secretly the professor sabotaged everything so he could keep the babes on the beach.
Yeah. I mean, like all those palm trees, and you couldn't put together a raft.
I don't. No, they can make shacks with all this other stuff like I said. Yeah, but no, they couldn't ever come up with a boat.
They had a changing room, and they kept like they were always having something that they could use to model for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they had they had a runway show one day.
I really think that's what it comes down to.
And Lovey, she took a whole chest of clothing with her for a 3-hour tour. How did they save them?
On that little boat? That's why secretly that's why it went down in the storm. It's because all
they had too many people and the chest of clothing.
Yeah,
and
too much stuff, too many.
They took everything that they owned with them.
Now, Mickey Mouse, do you remember the suspenders? I don't.
Yes.
I don't remember suspenders.
They were suspenders with buttons on them.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I don't remember the suspenders. I always remember the pants and Town of Mesa Ginger and Lovey's.
Charles, I love you. They had like Persian rugs and mirrors. Where did they get all of this stuff?
Yeah, it was like no wonder it went down. If they had all this stuff on that little tiny boat for a 3-hour cruise, that's
tour.
Yeah,
not cruise, just a tour. They were just going to putt around the island, and somehow there was such a monsoon with a tsunami that they wound up in Lilliput Island.
Yeah, it's it's kind of the Disney thing too. Do you remember Steamboat Willie? Do you remember that cartoon?
Kind of.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I said, I watch these things. People say suspenders. I'm like, no, I don't ever remember him.
I remember suspenders. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And that was one of those. Yeah, it's something that's definitely for me. I mean, it was when I went back and watched like one of the old Mickey cartoons, when he's making the Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If you've never watched that, it's like you got to watch it again. How does Mickey make them the Swiss cheese? It's a regular wedge of cheese, and all of a sudden it's got a bunch of holes in it, and Mickey was involved.
Ask Andy; he'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. That's where you get the sound effect. Boing.
Oh my God. I only have 3 more written down that were like major. But like I said, I do have my own that I can share, which was like mind blowing to me because it was so in my face that I couldn't contest it. I don't know. Should I share that one now or at the end?
Share that at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get those ones out, and then we can deep dive into that one.
If you build it, they will come, is what was said in the movie Field of Dreams. But really what was said was, if you build it, he will come. I have a problem with that. Who is he?
Shoeless Joe Jack. Yeah, he was supposed to be. He was the one that Ray Liotta's character. That was the he. I try not to address too many of them.
I can't even read. I'm gonna have to tape a piece of paper.
I know, it's awesome. The chat's awesome. So for anybody that's not watching, see, you gotta be watching these things and paying attention. That's why it's so important to watch these things live, too.
It's a good thing I know.
That's how you know you're having fun. When you're laugh crying, it's like it's good.
Tony the Tiger.
Oh, the nose.
Yeah. So I remember he had a black nose when I was a kid. Now he has a blue nose. What do you guys remember? And he's off the rails. It's usually me, Todd, and Carmela. I don't know what's happening, but he's sending me there with him. Craig's just laughing silently with this look on his face, which is making me worse.
Well, I'm trying. I said it's like I want to say something about it. I go, it's not my show. I go, I don't want to be pointing out stuff I'm not supposed to be pointing out. So it's just, I'm trying to keep composed. Yeah, there's some of these things. They're awesome. Andy is on a roll.
Yeah, I don't have to point it out. I'm just like this. Okay. So, what do you remember?
To one of those things, I don't really have either way, either or on those things, because I couldn't, like, if right now, if I wasn't looking at the picture and somebody asked, what color is his nose? I'm like, I mean, I would assume black, just because like a normal tiger, but I guess it's always been blue, if I'm not mistaken.
It was?
Yeah, I think that's what it's always been, blue.
All right, everyone else, what are you saying? I want to see comments here. No one's commenting. No, there's no right or wrong answer, because it could be that we're all on different planes, different dimensions.
Sides of the street.
We're all crazy. I don't know. We could be living. We have the giggles. We definitely do. We could be living on different streets and they're taking our boxes of cereal away from us.
That's right.
They could be coming from the Dollar Tree. You have no idea.
Yeah, the dollar store ones, all have the black nose on there, because it was a misprint, and that's all I can afford. Maureen was getting the real ones with the blue noses.
No, I had the black ones. You had the blue ones. Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Adam's apple or no Adam? Adam's apple. That was one of the things I forgot about. Hi, Nishoba.
Mm-hmm.
You had Adam's apple? No Adam's apple. It was
that's one of the
super pronounced. It was like a big.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I always remember there being the Adam's apple thing too. It's just I was always hung up on the fact that Scooby-Doo, the fact that none of them thought, why don't we try to rip the mask off first before we run away from the monster? Because it's like I think they've just smoked too much pot. Yeah. Way too much stuff, that they were forgetting that the last monster that chased them was Farmer Johnson. So I mean, that'd be the first thing when the monster's like, I would have tried to rip the head off, the mask off. But yeah, I was always hung up on the fact that it just never made sense that they didn't start there. But I digress.
Yeah, because they were talking about the way they would always, like, they had the munchies,
mm-hmm.
and they were like mowing on Scooby snacks, and the way he would chew, and that thing would keep moving around in his throat. But you would see this like big triangle that would jut out, and now there's nothing. I wonder if it's easier to draw for somebody who took over drawing.
Possibly. Like I said, it's just, if they took over drawing, it's like removing it would definitely make the art part easier. I mean, because it just, obviously, two straight lines, is easier than adding in the other things. The other one, especially since it's been in the comments, a lot too. Do you know that there's a whole kink genre around Velma?
Yeah, my son went to Comic-Con. We dropped him off at the Javits Center, and Velma's standing outside with her ass cheeks hanging out from her skirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all that. It's like there's like this whole just around, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, and look at Velma. Like, who would ever think that?
Yeah,
and
that's.
Velma was very not hot.
But they.
Thank you, Nishoba.
Yeah, they definitely. The only other one I had down was, and it was kind of the bottom, but it was for me, it was, you had a lot of stuff like where people, I think it came down to, it was events, like one of the lists, like I'm going through to find pictures and stuff too. They bring up also Mother Teresa. People remember her being, canonized early. Well, that can't happen until after death.
Yeah.
So the whole 90s thing, I mean, it's like, you should remember that from your time, that your time served in the Catholic school there, Maureen, the sainthood, that
Listen,
comes
I
after.
didn't really pay attention to anything that happened
Yeah.
while I was there. That was just about it. So I'm really surprised I remember anything.
Yeah, that's like sainthood, has to be, you have to have miracles attributed to you, and it's after death. It's not.
Wait, Velma's black now?
Yeah, that's one of the woke changes.
Really?
That's one of the changes, but I think it's like a side. It's kind of like with the comics where you have like different variations. I don't think it's like a permanent, like the change, but it's one of those. I don't know. I don't like changing things just to change them. I like
I don't
coming
like
up with
that
original
either.
storylines. It's like
Yeah.
in like Disney, Princess and the Frog, awesome movie. I like it by itself. We don't have to change. You don't have to make other things. Just come up with original concepts. I mean, because I think most of the problem, like most people have with a lot of this stuff, is it's when you change stuff just to arbitrarily change it and check off boxes, it loses the substance.
It loses
It's
the
just
meaning.
that's why the movies are just they're not really that good. I mean, it's just like controversy over the Little Mermaid, the live one, changing this
Yeah.
stuff. For me, it was one of those where they have these things. Well, it's just there's a lot of people. It's like a lot of ginger, redhead and stuff. They don't have a lot to same thing. They've got Brave, and they've got Little Mermaid. They had these ones, so it's the same thing. Why not come up with a whole different storyline? Come up with a great concept, and it's going to be
Yeah.
successful. Like I said, Princess and the Frog, awesome. Awesome movie. I mean, like I said, there were a lot of funny lines come from them. I mean, who didn't like the Firefly? As a little sidekick mascot. I mean, that was fantastic. I mean, it's like come up with a concept, and people will love it. But I go, when you try too hard, it makes it to where it's just like, it's supposed to be entertaining. I mean,
Yeah. Like you already have Cinderella and Snow White and Little Mermaid and whatever. But when they came up with Moana,
Mhm.
that was amazing. And like I don't know a lot about Disney.
the dark fan theory about that?
What?
Moana died.
What?
Maui is one that his thing is he helps transition. And so she died in the voyage.
Oh.
So that's one of the dark theories, is like, so a lot of this stuff is taking place, in the afterlife, not during the thing, because it's like I said, it's one of those fan, you get those fan theories that come out and stuff. Yeah, and they're yeah. See, we could talk movies.
I don't watch Disney. I've never, like, even when I was little, I wasn't big into like cartoons.
Yeah.
So I know the premise of every Disney movie, but I didn't really watch until my son was born, and like he was 5 when he watched it.
Yeah. Oof.
He loved
the original or the
horror.
new one?
The original. He loved horror. He also has abilities. So like he wasn't a kid who was like his favorite this is sad. His favorite cartoon was Johnny Bravo.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was my favorite cartoon because I watched it with them. So like that was the kind of, and like the Fairly Odd Parents. It wasn't like
Yes, Fairly Odd Parents
Little Bear, that kind of stuff. That was like too kid for him. He was very adult-like. He's a very old soul. So we didn't watch cartoons. I thought when I was young that my parents lied to me and I was way older than I was and they were hiding it from me. I watched adult stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, I know we got a couple minutes here. I mean, I'll digress. I'll tell a little story. Like for me, it's kind of along that same lines. We talked about this in the in some of the shows I've been on too. It's where as adults, it's really important, and I learned this thing is because not to squash the potential of the kids. Because it was for me, I would tell my son, it's like, no, you're stop. He would see stuff. He would see like a shadow.
Yeah.
He would talk about these things. We're at my mom and dad, dad's house, and we're sitting in the room, and we have an old photo of great grandfather. And my son, when he was young, he looked up there and said, "Why do you have a picture of my grandson?"
What?
And so, at that time, you're like, stop, you're being ridiculous, like you said, those things. But going back into things, just like what you said, is what if something like, that was, something was bleeding through him. He was actually talking about these things. And that's one of those things where it's kind of like you said, where it's just, you have these things, you're like, it's important to listen and take in what they're saying, because there's a good chance that, they're seeing something that you're not seeing. They're something that you aren't perceiving, that these kids are bringing into the thing, but it's so easy for us adults in our busy life to say, would you stop being ridiculous? There's nothing there. Stop it. Get back to bed. I like the joke thing. It's like, there's a monster in my bed. Well, what are you doing in here? I don't want it in my room. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But like, he had night terrors, and it's always been the case where kids who have night terrors, women who gave birth at like a young age or had a really rough childbirth, or, whatever the case may be, like those were indications that your child might have past lives that they will remember. He used to tell this story all the time, like my other grandfather. And I was like, what other grandfather? The one that lives on the hill in the big white house. Same story all the time. Kids don't lie. They can't. They don't have that capability. Okay, so what big white hill, or what big white house on the hill? Where my other grandfather lives. He couldn't even say other. It was utter. And I'm like, okay, so where is he? He died. How did he die? He was eaten by sharks.
Mm.
And at the time I was like, that's a pretty big story for a kid. This kid was insanely attracted to sharks. He could look at a shark tooth and tell you what kind of shark it came from.
that's awesome.
So brilliant. So brilliant. So as I thought about it, we would watch Shark Week. We would go to the beach. He would be enthralled with the ocean. And then all of a sudden, one day I was watching Jaws, and the story comes up where the guy talks about Pearl Harbor, where he's stuck in the water, and the sharks come around and they're feeding on his friends that he was in the military with. And I thought, holy shit, this could have been a possibility. Maybe his grandfather in a past life was in Pearl Harbor and he was bobbing up and down in the water and he was eaten by sharks. That could have been a past life. His night terrors were always about boulders rolling down the hill and crushing his loved ones. It could have been Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah. Yep.
Loves things about, Rome and Greece and things with like soldiers with all of these like armored things. And I'm thinking to myself, I should not have listened to my mother and father when they told me to not ask him questions or not get him wound up or whatever. I should have done that. Now his son has the same thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of those things. It's like, that's my advice. People, don't quash it. Ask questions. What do you see? Where's it at? Point it out. It's like, don't feed into it. It's like, oh yeah, that's a scary, it's like, no, the thing is just, it's like, actually look, get some information from it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not going to scare them. It's actually going to help them get rid of those fears and get rid of those night terrors and get rid of that past life and help to put it to rest, because the more they get to talk about it and get rid of those thoughts. I don't know. Should I tell my Mandela effect before we go?
Yeah. You got, I'm not sure if you have a hard break, where you, but yeah, it's 10 minutes. So.
No, I mean, Bobby's on at 10, so we have like another 40 minutes, but this won't take that long. So I was going to Mexico, and I needed to take this medication, but it was like you could buy it off the shelf. It was just something that I really, really needed to take. And on the bottle, it was a big bottle. I had bought at GNC, and it said on the back, take 3 with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I emptied the bottle out. I counted 3. I put them in a Ziploc gallon-sized bag, folded out the air, zipped it, had it ready to go. I counted 72 out for the trip. I probably looked like I was a drug dealer going a bunch of stuff, and put it in my carry-on. Went. As I was coming, actually, there were a couple of things that happened, so it's gonna be a series of events. On our way back, the pilot said, we will be arriving to our destination in, I don't know if it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes or whatever. Please enjoy your trip and get comfortable and, whatever. So I'm like very OCD. I have to get my sunglasses on. I pack the stuff behind the seat in front of me, and I get my reading glasses out. I get my earbuds ready and whatever. And I can't sleep on flights because I don't know. I think I'm afraid to die. And everybody around me is like leaned back, half asleep already. And before I could even get my stuff in the back of the seat in front of me, I hear, "This is your captain speaking. We will be ascending in 30 minutes. And I was like, that was 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like, that just went so fast. I didn't even get my stuff unpacked yet. So I'm getting my stuff repacked, and everybody's starting to like open their eyes. They're stretching and whatever. So nobody realizes what's going on except me. And I looked at my son and I'm like, did that seem fast to you? And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. That was the greatest nap ever. We get home and I start to unpack. Now, the whole trip, I don't know why, but it seems like everything that's tropical or hotter or whatever, I feel slightly better. So I don't really focus on taking the things that I need to take if they're not prescription. So I had stuff left over from that bottle. And I measured out the 72. And I had a bunch left over. So I start putting stuff back in the bottles I didn't need. Now, this bottle was brand spanking new, had the clear plastic around the top of it. Still, it had the seal over with the cotton inside. So I go to unpack after, like, the next morning, and the plastic is still around the top. And I thought, did I buy 2 bottles? Because I have a lot of this stuff to put back in. Only 1 bottle. And then I thought maybe I stretched it. So I go to try to like get the lid off and I can't. So I pop the seal. I look back. I look to see how many are in it. Now the back of the bottle says take 2 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not 3. So I thought maybe that was just a, slip of my memory. And it feels light, very light. I take the top off. The seal's still over the top of it. I yelled to my ex-husband. I asked him, when you bought this for me, did you buy more than 1? He said no. So I popped a hole through the top of it with a pen. I took the top off of it. There's cotton still inside of it. I pull the cotton out of it. It's really, really light. I pour the whole bottle out, and I would normally not do this, but now I'm starting to like, between what the captain said, my weight had dropped significantly while I was there. My body looked very different. Something seemed off. I pour the whole thing out. I start to count. I'm counting. My heart starts to race. My stomach drops. It's less and less and less than what was actually supposed to be in the bottle. 72 are missing. Exactly. Now I start to count what's still left. And then I subtract what I would have taken. and it was 72 missing. But in that case, if I looked on the bottle and it said 2 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it still would have been wrong because I should have taken 3 based on what I read originally. So I come in, I asked my husband to come in, and I said, I need you to check this for me because I feel like I'm losing my mind. And we went over it again, and he said, yeah, it did say 3. He read the bottle. It said 2. I had him recount everything I just counted, and he kind of looked at me weird. And he said, are you sure you didn't get this wrong? And I said, no, I just reopened this. Here's the pen, here's the plastic, here's the cotton, here's the lid. And he recounted what was in the bag. And he said, there has to be something wrong. And I said, I'm telling you, this is what just happened. I told him what happened on the plane. And he said, somebody's messing with you. And I said, no. And he goes, then you're messing with me. And I said, no, I'm telling you, this is exactly what just transpired. A couple days ago, I was supposed to be someplace, and I was a little bit late. And all of a sudden, I was doing 90 miles an hour on the highway, and there were trucks all around me. And I went from 90 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour, and I made up 20 minutes. And the clock changed. And all of a sudden, a cop showed up out of nowhere, and I was doing the right speed limit. Very strange. Very, very strange. I told you I was not going to make it until, what, 7 o'clock tonight?
Mm-hmm.
I made it back at 6 o'clock tonight.
It almost feels like missing time.
Yes.
Do you have any strange marks?
Like what?
Like something that would look like a puncture wound, something that would look like a raised spot. I mean, anything that just, something that feels like burning,
No, but
Annie's in the chat, so I'm so anything itching, burning. Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't be.
Yeah, so it's just, because normally it's like you'll have something where it's just all of a sudden you'll be like, on an arm or leg or something like on your back, like a bloody nose or something like.
No,
because that would.
This is the weird part. So the Mexico thing happened in 2019. The other things have been happening recently, and my husband locked the door when he got home from work. He's a police officer. It was really early in the morning, and he locked the regular lock on the doorknob, and then there was something like, so say this is like a regular lock that you would see in a hotel room, and then there's the bolt that goes through it, and then it slides over it.
Yeah.
He locked that. That was back in like February. It was really cold outside. And he said all of a sudden he's eating his snack on the couch while he's watching TV before he goes to bed. And it was wicked cold in our living room. And he went to look, and he saw a shadow dart up the stairs, and the door's wide open. Wide open. He got up. He relocked the door, rebolted the door. And I'm somebody who doesn't bolt the door or lock the door because I grew up in this neighborhood and it doesn't really have any crime. And he yells at me for it. He saw this thing dart up the stairs. He didn't even come to check on me. And this was when and I told this story last week, I think, or the week before. All of the UFOs or UAPs were being shot down by the government. There was something in my kitchen, and I just checked, and like I kept seeing, I'll do it on this part of the screen. It kept going like this on the screen, and all of a sudden it went, and it turned, and it looked at me, and it was about 8 feet tall, and the dog stopped and looked over at his bowl, and there was this long caterpillar-like thing with spots on it. I have pictures. I'll send them to you. And the thing that stood up was very alien-like. It looked like a gray that had, the hollowed-in eyes. It looked almost see-through. It had a heart, kind of, whatever. I mean, if it would be a heart. You could see the ribs. You could see the shoulders. You can see the bulbous head. You could see 2 dots for a nose and a mouth that was just a line. And the head was huge. I mean, this thing was huge, but it knew enough to turn and look at the camera directly at me. And I don't even know what possessed me to turn the camera on in the kitchen because it was quiet. And then a couple nights later, I heard, and I was sleeping. I don't know how I heard this, but I heard something in my head walking up the steps very quietly, and it was like padded feet. And I was asleep with my hands under my pillows. And I woke up and I turned and I looked, and at the top of the steps there were these 2 grayish figures that were kind of like gingerbread men with, like, I don't know, cracked edges. And the edges were pink, but the inside was kind of like I don't know, the projectors that teachers used in schools, and they kind of had like a grayish translucent middle to them. And when I looked at them, they were like 2 feet and 3 feet tall, holding hands, and they said, "Healing you," with like the synthesized voice. And I just put my hands back underneath the pillows and I kind of like got comfy, and that was it.
Yeah, that would be missing time. I think like with that part where the one darted up the stairs. I mean, for me, that'd be part. Haha, welcome to the rice paddy.
It was kind of like, he said it was
going up
like
the stairs after it,
like a shadow figure. And he just said, I just started watching TV again and eating my snack. And I was like, I could have been dead at that point and you wouldn't even have known the difference.
Oh no, it would have been, it's like that whole thing. It's like it would have been coming upstairs. Yeah, I had one. It was the same day as I was laying in bed, and just out of the corner of my eye, I saw something dart, like a dart, like a shadow. And I was up, I mean, in the time it took me to pop out of bed and get there, it wouldn't have even be able to make it. If it had been a person, they wouldn't have even been able to make it to the bottom of the stairs. By the time it was like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And so that's the only time I've ever had something like that. But yeah, it's just, yeah, that'd be my thing. It's like, if you've had some of those things, especially like that plane trip would be, it's, it would be, yeah, yep. I would say missing time. That's why it would just be, just if you've got anything else, like I said, where you end up with like strange markings, strange, like an injury that you're like, how did that happen? Like bruising, bloody noses.
I constantly had like bloody noses that would like shoot across the room. Like you'd see vomit in The Exorcist when I was a kid. And then they cauterized the entire inside of my nose because they said it was completely perforated. I have myriad rare diseases. Myriad. Like I can't even, if I gave you a list right now, you'd literally be like this, falling asleep. Like strange, weird stuff. And it's just if I go to the doctor tomorrow, they'll be like, okay, so here's your diagnosis. And it's like not even abnormal for me. I can't even cry about it because it's just like, okay, I get it. That's just how I am. But my husband brought home a metal detector. He's like, stripped down completely, and I'm just going to scan everything. There was nothing that showed up. Nothing. But then again, it could be silicone.
Who hasn't wanted to try that little hit on, for like, I want you to take everything off. I'm going to use the metal detector and check.
Down to nothing and lay flat.
Yeah. Let's. All right. Here's what we're going to do. Hands against the wall. We're
Yeah. Well, Nishoba's right. I mean, we've had mimics in this house. We've had elementals. We've had water sprites. We've had like little slate looking elementals here. We've had little kids playing hide and go seek in the basement. And no, they were not demons. We've had ascended masters just kind of floating around on the ceiling. You could just see their energy. There have been, my mother just stopped by in pajamas one day and was sitting on my bed. There's been all kinds of crazy stuff. I was meditating one day and all of a sudden I was on a metal table with a medical sheet pulled up all up over my body. And when the sheet slipped down over my face, there were all kinds of alien beings standing around this table. They all looked different. And when I say I was meditating, I was there. I felt everything. I heard everything. I sensed everything. It was weird. And then back. I have gone to Walmart to go get groceries, and I have been gone for 6 hours and thought I was there for a half an hour. Weird
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, that's almost. I mean, you're almost describing some of like the scenes out of Communion, like with Whitley Strieber's
But I
thing,
have
where it's just
never
like,
had like a bad, I don't want to use bad because I don't use bad or good. I use positive and negative. I've never had a negative experience where I have been like probed or hurt or, you know, did you ever see the Saturday Night Live skit where she talks about being tossed out of
I know, I love it. It's like, so do you think this is? Oh no, it felt totally off the books. They were each taking turns patting a knocker.
They flap. If you guys have
Oh god, that was that was an awesome skit. It's like, so you think this? Like, oh no, this felt. There's one over there with that was a lookout while everybody was taking turns.
That is the best skit ever. It's the one with Ryan Gosling. You guys look up SNL.
Yeah, so there I am on top of Long Judge Silver's with my coot, my prune shoot hanging out.
Look up SNL.
Yes, it's fantastic.
UFO. How would you even look that up? UFO.
I'll say I can find it. Yeah, that's.
Oh my god! If we
there's
could
one.
sit here and watch this with them, I swear I wish I could have every single one of you guys with us, like in the room while we do these shows, because.
Yeah, just type in "Close Encounter SNL."
With Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, and it'll have, because there's both versions. There's two of them that they did, and both of them have the same, same Cicely Strong, Ryan Gosling, and Kate McKinnon.
She's
Kate McKinnon.
hysterical.
Yeah, she's the one. Yeah, because that's one that they do, and it's just they talk about the first, the whole premise of it is like, you guys have, or the first documented case of alien abduction, and the two were like, oh, it was like this loving ball of light just laid me down. Like, yeah, I'm not sure what happened here, because that wasn't my experience.
I came down on a raft.
Yeah, they're the aliens are over there. They're pointing down to, like, I got to pee in a bowl.
And they just flipped my knockers.
Yep, that's each taking turns.
That's the part that would be bad, because if they were all in the room with us, I couldn't stop laughing to even have like 2 words come out of my mouth. Because when I watched that, I had snots coming out of my nose. I was crying, and my son's like the same. So we were like honking. We were like, so.
Yeah, you're having a really good experience laughing at something like that when you can't breathe. The tears are just streaming out of your eyes, and you're just like, you're struggling to breathe. Yeah, that's awesome.
When he lived here, our bedrooms were across from each other with a bathroom that was in between, and then a hallway. And we'd have the windows open in the summer. We'd have neighbors screaming, "Shut the F up!"
Straight out of Coming Tomorrow. Good morning, my neighbors. Ah, you.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Oh yes. Yes.
If you guys think that, like, well, Craig is not always with me, but if you think I laugh hard on the show when I get going, oh my God, you should see me in like everyday life. There's always, everything becomes filthy dirty and like laughing.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
So, all right, we're gonna get serious now for just. I was going to say for 2 seconds. We have to do like 5 or 10. So, Sinister Mysteries. They're every other Thursday. So is it this Thursday? No, not tonight. Next week.
Next week. Yep.
And it's going to be Ted Bundy?
Yeah. No. This is the Bundy. This took place in out in Nevada. The first one. It was the Bundy standoff with the BLM, where they were kicked off of public land for grazing the cattle. And so there's a standoff where it ended up with the BLM officers trying to force them off the land. There's a lot of the the iconic photos from it were the everyday citizens that came in. Some of them, they had their rifles on the roadway pointed at the officer, at the BLM officers. And so it was it was a tense one. It could have gone either way. And so this is one of those where this is part where the sinister thing is the powers that be, they want the Bubba effect to go into play. Because the Bubba effect, for anybody that doesn't know what that is, the Bubba effect is where they want things to get so out of control that Bubba feels like the only recourse is to take up arms and go attack. So Terry Nichols, McVeigh, those guys were, they were hoping that was going to be like the Bubba effect, that was going to kick off the great thing. But so far it never has. And so, so they've never been able to do the crackdown that they want.
So they were hoping for like a Civil War revolution.
Yes, they were hoping for shots to be fired, because then that gives them the reason to pull the trigger on what they want to do. Because the goal has always been, the Second Amendment has always been the target. It's never been hidden. They've always tried different avenues, and so they're waiting for that reason to come in. And you guys have left us no other choice. We have to do this. And so that's the sinister aspect of it. And then the second Bundy standoff is, and I was actually up there during the time, was in Southern Oregon when the Bundys took over that federal reserve, that it was that land. They went over there. It wasn't occupied by anything. They just basically took over this game preserve. And so so what they did is they, and that was in Southern Oregon, right outside a town called Burns in Southern Oregon. Southern Central. And so these were the same family, and this ended up with, near the end of it, culmination, they were on their way to this other location, another town kind of in northern Central Oregon called Antelope. They were going to meet with a county sheriff there. And during that time is when one of the members of the standoff was shot and killed. And assassinated, basically. It's like they say, well, he was reaching. Well, you can see in the video, he goes, because he gets hit, and so he goes like this. Well, they said he was reaching for his gun at that point, and then that's when they took him out.
Ooh.
And so that's where the sinister aspects of it. It's not so much just the occupying part that's the sinister. It's the things behind it, to where you can see the setups,
it's the planning,
and that's kind of like the Vegas shooting. That's one we'll be doing the following 2 weeks after that, where this is the one that's the craziest part is, like I said, I'm trying not to hijack all the airways here.
Okay.
For this thing with like the Vegas shooting, the part that's so sinister about it is, everybody knows. I mean, have you guys been to Vegas for very many times? Or a casino?
Never been there, but because of what my husband does, we've watched this and watched this and watched this, and we've talked about it over and over and over again because of what he does.
Yeah, because anybody that's been to a casino, there's cameras everywhere.
Uh-huh.
I go, we have 0 images of him bringing the weapons in. For everything that he's supposed to have in this room, there is no way a security team is letting somebody alter the hotel room doors. All that that said, you're not bringing in case after case after case of all this stuff into your hotel. You would have been stopped at some point and said, "Sir, what are you doing?" This never would have happened. You wouldn't be able to get all of this equipment in and out like he supposedly had. And there is no footage of him pulling up to the hotel. There's no footage of him doing this whole thing. They have none of this, and they've never released any of this thing. And it's actually been basically just wiped clean. And one of the crazy parts is one of the people that was involved during this time was actually one of the people in charge in Maui during that huge fire. And so he was part of the same. He was in the police there in Vegas, and he was over here in Maui. So that's another one of those where people point to like the sinister part of those things too. But that's one of the things. So that's where we do is, like I said, I know some people have a couple of questions there, so I don't want to hijack you more. But yeah, that's what we talk about. We talk about, but we don't come at it from an agenda side. What we do is we just basically, here's the facts, here's the things. This doesn't make sense. And then we kind of just, what do we think is the reason for this? And then we kind of go into there and we bring the stuff in. But at no point do we ever say, this is what is, this was what isn't. It's just one of these things we just point at. Like, this is the part that doesn't make any sense. Like the Vegas thing. It's like you just said, how does all this stuff occur and we don't even have a single image of the guy packing in gun cases? We should have this thing of
has to be involved.
Yeah, we should have video of him pushing the luggage cart full of all these ammo boxes up to the elevator. I mean, that should be on loop. We should be able to find that, but none of that is available.
That's insane. All right, so what time are you on Thursdays?
Thursdays we start. It's from 7 to about 8:15 Eastern time. So when you had to go take care of the dogs, I kind of did a little plug. I'm like, so what you could do is you can come watch our show from 7 to about 7:28.
All right, so
I hijacked the airwaves while you were gone.
That's okay. That's all right. I like to advertise for you as well. So is there a scientific explanation for the Mandela effect? So we said that it could be either false memories, or it could be that it's a political agenda. It could also be that we're skipping time or jumping or time hopping, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like her next one there too. I think you really could, because some of these cases where, like, we'll use like the Jiffy one again. It's like that one really can be just like human perception, cognition is one where it's, Jif and Jiffy is not that far apart, and it's just like you said, there's Jiffy popcorn, there's there's Skippy, there's a lot of things to where somebody could mistakenly say Jiffy, and that just becomes the way that people say stuff. It's like, I know a lot of people that say Washington.
You know what? That's
there's
like
no
a
R.
Western Pennsylvania thing. My grandmother used to say, "Time to do the wash."
Yeah, there's no R, but people say wash. People say, and to be like, oh no, that's how it's always been said. No, it's wash. Washington, George Washington. It's not George Washington. Like I said, there's a lot of these things, but yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's kind of, your upgrade, how you went, and I think that's where. So yeah, you could definitely do the scientific, like the human perception of like how things become culturally accepted, and it becomes a thing. We did like the Star Wars lines, and that, where those just become an accepted way, how it's always said.
And then can a shared delusion become a physical change in reality? If enough people believe that something has changed, does that actually affect the physical world? Well, there's always, the idea of an egregore and a tulpa, and that creates energy enough to create I guess you would call it I don't know if you would call it a spirit, you would call it an entity, right? So
yeah, I think it'd be more like an entity, because it's that thing. It's like you said, it's kind of like you manifest it pretty much into an existence. I mean, it's just, it's like
a bunch of people think it definitely does create something even larger and, more. So why couldn't enough people believe something that is going to affect the physical world?
Supposed to show this here. Sorry. We'll do like the old school thing where we always
radio. We love ERRT radio. We love it.
It's like a screensaver. There you go.
How do changes to our memories of historical events occur? Well, that we answered that with the Nelson Mandela, right? Are these changes due to individual experiences, or are they part of a larger, more complex? I think it could be either. Don't you?
Yeah. I do. It's because that's one of those things where it falls into like some of the ones you could, but it's like I would have a hard time lumping in something like Cap and Crunch type things into that category, because it would just be, what would further, I mean, we mentioned that a little bit for the show. It could be the little things that just cause doubt and stuff like that. But once again, that's a lot of things. That's Santa Claus effect, where they have to go into every house and change the Cheez-It package, to make everybody. So what is that more of a chance that just a lot of collectively, like, people have put the Z in the wrong spot, just is that more probable than that thing? Yes. But there are definitely going to be ones where I would agree, like there's going to be historical things there you know, if you could get something like that, yes, it would be one, because then, like, just the original, the Mandela, thing, where people remember the death, they remember this thing, and so that's where I think more of the phenomenon. I mean, I would be more willing to go with like the fringe type thing. There's the overlapping of your realities, and that there's that slit where just different things just bleed through, and so then the one like overlook more like the intentional one, because just the sheer volume of effort that would have to be involved would be crazy. I mean, maybe we are in the simulation, and then that would be real easy programming.
Which is why I think, what are the implications of the Mandela effect on our understanding of history and the nature of time itself? And if the reality can change, does that mean anything is possible? With my story, with the medication and the way things changed, who's to say, first of all, that it wasn't an extraterrestrial event or it wasn't a time hop? If that could happen to one person, why couldn't it happen to everyone?
Yeah.
Right? So we don't know what actually happened. And what role does mass hysteria play in shaping reality? Can a collective fear or anxiety lead to actual changes in the physical world? I think that leads right back to the previous question. Can it be everyone?
Yeah, and I think in a way I just kind of opened up another avenue for myself with saying the simulation theory, because then that's an easy change. Like where I said where it'd be so hard for them to change all the packaging. Well, if you're in a simulation, that's easy code. You'd just be able to, and it's done. Just some keystroke, and all of a sudden everything's changed over. So that would definitely, so that's another avenue to it. But yeah, it kind of Ron's thing, everything's happening so fast today. It's like what I said last week on the thing. It's that more people need to unplug.
Yeah.
If you just take a step away, just do like the thing, like between now and Maureen's next show, next Thursday, after Sinister Mysteries for the first 28 minutes, and then Maureen's show. So between now and then, you need to, if you unplug, just stop watching news, you're going to find yourself, things will actually slow down.
Mm-hmm. I stopped watching the news, actually.
Yeah. It's like you still stay engaged. Like with what's going around you, but you don't have to watch the news cycle 24/7, because then every little thing, I use the example all the time. If you're looking through a microscope, it's chaotic. Things are just flying everywhere. Stuff like this. Zoom out. Just keep zooming out, and before long, you'll realize what you were looking at was a sample of the pond, the lake water. But now you're at your cabin on a hammock, overlooking a nice sunset as the sun's going down over the lake, and you've got a drink in your hand, and you're sitting there in the hammock relaxing. I go, but because you're so focused on that sample of pond lake water, you thought everything was out of control. Zoom out, pull back, and you'll realize it's not as chaotic as it seems.
Yeah. Do like one day at a time. Stop watching for 1 day. Stop watching for 2 days. Stop watching for 3 days. I stopped watching the news, and it felt so much better to not have, did you see what happened? That was horrible with this thing and I always use Uzbekistan, because it doesn't apply to us really in a big scope of things, maybe in a smaller scope, but then 2 days. And it felt so good to not have all that negativity like being blasted at me. Trust me, you're going to get your news somehow. So you're going to find things out, especially like if you're on Facebook. Then I stopped using Facebook every single day, and it felt so amazing. And then, like Nishoba said, meditate, then start singing or dancing or doing something that you really love. Your whole body and your whole soul is going to feel amazing after that.
Yes. Watch stuff like this and have a laugh. Have a good laugh. And I said,
tonight felt good.
Yep. Like Andy said, The Matrix. What did the Oracle say? By the time you're done with this cookie, you're going to feel right as rain.
Yep. I was thinking of the Oracle from the Never-Ending Story when you said that, actually.
Yeah.
Name my name.
Yeah, I know. You had the two oracles, and I still remember the naughty bits on the oracles. As a young kid. Yeah, you got the You know, you got the two statues with boobs.
I just cried over the horse drowning in the
Oh
mud.
yes, they're remaking that. And I
I
told my
know.
wife, I go, I hope that they don't do the trauma of us having to watch just just go down in the bog of eternal sadness. You know, please, we don't need that trauma
I
again.
remember that. I remember the flying dog looked just like my dog, Falcor. And
Yep.
then I remember the turtle that talked so slow and was so wise.
Just sneezing. Yeah.
No. Okay, so we have your show on next Thursday from 6. Was it 6?
It's from 7. It's from 7 to
7
about 8
like
p.m. I said,
when the
but like I
dogs
said,
bark.
yeah, for this audience, it's from 7 to 7:28. You watch that. And then you come back to here. So like I said, we will welcome you for the first half hour.
No, please. You guys can like watch his and then skip over to ours and then watch the beginning at another time.
No, I'm not here I'm not here to pirate audience.
No.
It's what do they say? So it's the same thing. Like when we get done, it's the same thing. It's like hope everybody jumps over.
Do every other week and then watch ours on like the next day.
Yes, like I said, just do that. So that way you help each other out. Let's like watch that. Go here and the same thing when our audience is done. Charles, same thing. He'll jump back and forth watching.
Yeah.
Same with Ron. Yeah, it's good. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for being with me. I do want to mention for everyone that's still with us. So my business partner, Alfie MacArthur, and I, we have some really cool stuff to announce. So we really are worried about kids who are disadvantaged. They're thinking of contemplating suicide. They are bullied. They are in gangs. They're doing drugs. They don't have, they're less fortunate. So he created an album called Real Street Diary. And he wrote an entire album. And it is on Soundcast. You can find it on my page if you're friends with me. But it's going to be everywhere starting tomorrow. And he has beautiful music that right now, the first song that's out is called The Real Street Diary. And the second song that's out is called Love Hurts Sometimes. And we sing a duet together. So you can listen to that right now if you go to Soundcast. So all proceeds are going to these kids, and they are going to be challenged to do something amazing and run a restaurant together. And that way they are going to learn something else in life besides what they are doing currently. So please go to Soundcast and you can listen now to those first 2 songs, and the others you can listen to on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and the rest. Tell us what you think. And you can also purchase the album starting tomorrow. So go check Craig out. Check out our shows Thursdays. Next week, I have a very good friend coming onto the show. His name is Christinel Durack. He is from Transylvania originally, and he was part of Dracula's lineage. He was actually adopted by Mother Teresa. So we might be able to get some information on Mother Teresa that we didn't get tonight. So stay tuned for that, and we will be here.
She was very nice.
She wasn't. But Dimensions of the Supernatural, Thursday night, 7:30 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every week, we will be here. So thanks for watching. Thank you, Craig. It was great having you, and maybe you can come back again. I'd love that.
Yeah, like I said, it was a lot of fun. I said, down the road, yeah, definitely would have to do it. Like I said, try to keep me corralled on my, ADD moments.
You're going to have to keep me corralled. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Stay tuned again. We loved having you. Peace out. See you next time.